So I think sometimes in the offseason, a few things can get overlooked just because we're not getting that much new information throughout all the offseason. We're not seeing games to disprove some of our theories, things that we're thinking to be true. And I want to take that thought and apply it to what's going on with Caleb Williams in the Chicago Bears with Ben Johnson as the new head coach. I, for one, think there's a very good chance that Caleb Williams does improve a lot in 2025 because I think it's pretty hard for one of the better offensive minds in the NFL to come into your team and you not see some kind of improvement. The thing that I've just been thinking about is it was pretty bad for Caleb Williams last year. And I know, there can be some excuses like maybe his offensive line wasn't good, other things like that. I just do think that last year, a lot of it was on Caleb Williams. And a few of the biggest problems, he was one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks in the NFL. If you look at catchable throw rate, he was 38th in the NFL according to fantasy points data. And then he also held onto the ball way too long. And some may say, oh, well, it's the offensive line. Now that the offensive line has improved, there's tons of great guys now in the interior. Caleb Williams is not going to have a problem when it comes to sacks. I just don't know that that's the case because one of the biggest culprits in Caleb Williams getting sacked a ton was Caleb Williams because he was holding onto the ball way too long. And I really don't think the offensive line was not one of the bottom units in the league. If you look at ESPN's pass block win rate, they're 15th. And so I think it was an average unit. Is it going to be better with these new additions? No doubt. But I don't think that we can overlook Caleb Williams' role in holding onto the ball way too long. And so for me, that's where I wonder, how much improvement are we going to see with Ben Johnson? I really don't think there's a guarantee that Caleb Williams is just all of a sudden going to become a great quarterback just because of the inaccuracy issues, his tendency to hold onto the ball way too long. And I think that, with Ben Johnson bringing his offense here, a more quick passing game, I assume that there will be, more open guys with his ability to scheme guys open. That should help Caleb Williams. I guess my question is, even if there is some improvement with Williams, is it going to be enough to take this Bears team, this Bears offense to a, top 10 level, even if it's 10th best, 12th best? I'm not sure if that's the case because even if you see a little improvement, I'm not sure how much improvement there's going to be. And I really do think one of the biggest concerns for me for the Bears is just looking at Caleb Williams holding onto the ball way too long last season. I want to bring up one stat here that I think really shows just how big of an issue it was last year. So when you look at this stat, pressure sack percentage, which is a stat according to fantasy points data, it's defined as percentage of pressured dropbacks that result in a sack. So when a guy's getting pressured, how often is that resulting in a sack? Two of the best quarterbacks in the league when it comes to this stat and their ability to maneuver away from turning a pressure into a sack. Josh Allen, best in the league. There's no surprise there. Josh Allen has a pressure sack percentage of 8%. Jordan Love second with a pressure sack percentage of 9.7%. Guess what Caleb Williams' pressure sack percentage was? 30%. Basically 3 times as bad as Josh Allen and Jordan Love when it comes to evading pressures and getting sacked. And that ranked 38th out of 39 possible quarterbacks, and only Will Levis was worse. And so one of my biggest questions here for Caleb Williams in 2025 with Ben Johnson, is Ben Johnson going to be able to coach that out of him? I know there's a hope that that's the case. There's a hope that, okay, well, with Ben Johnson's offense here, things are going to go smoothly. Caleb's going to get the ball out quick. He's going to make good decisions. He's not going to hold on the ball too long. Can we be sure of that? I think there'll be some improvement, but will it be enough to really see a massive difference there considering how bad he was? Because even if he improved, let's say he goes from 30% to 20%, that's still twice as bad as Jordan Love and Josh Allen. So that's not for me to sit here and say that I think Caleb Williams is forever going to be a bad quarterback. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I just think that there is no guarantee of him and Ben Johnson just meshing together and everything just going great all of a sudden. And I think because, we haven't gotten to any games yet, clearly all of this is speculation. For me too, I mean, it's speculation. I don't know what Ben Johnson's going to do with Caleb Williams. And I guess that's basically my point, is I don't think I think the great outcome is being talked about much more. And I think the downside of Caleb Williams continuing to struggle in some of these areas might be overlooked a little bit. And so that's why I just do have some caution when it comes to, how good Caleb Williams will be coming into 2025. So those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. If you want more NFL content, Bears content, feel free to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.